Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to DDW 2016's webinar. As you know, DDW 2016 is in beautiful San Diego from May 21st through the 24th at the San Diego Convention Center. And to help you better prepare, we would like to present Increasing Brand Awareness and Driving Qualified Booth Traffic, how to use integrated marketing to attract enough of the right attendees to your DDW exhibit. We thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today. All the team is here, and let me introduce you to them. First, we have Deidre Crawford. She is our Director of Industry Sales and Exhibit Operations, who joined DDW 1 year ago. Caitlin Bolam is our Industry Senior Coordinator, who has been with DDW for a year and a half. Allison Moser is our Director of Marketing, and she's been a part of the DDW team for 4 years. Chris Adams is our Industry Sales Manager, and he's been with DDW for 13 years. And I'm Nia Murphy, the Industry and Exhibit Operations Manager, and I've been with DDW for 10 years. And now it's my pleasure to introduce one of America's leading experts on exhibiting success. Since 1985, he has executed over 200 trade shows and is continually researching exhibiting strategies and best practices of highly successful companies. He's the president of Competitive Edge, a Charlotte, North Carolina-based exhibit marketing, consulting, and training firm. Since 1991, he has helped his exhibiting clients turn around their exhibiting programs from expensive appearances into profitable investments. His clients have realized over $700 million in combined results from trade shows. Here today to present Increasing Brand Awareness and Driving Qualified Booth Traffic, please welcome Jefferson Davis.
Thank you, Nia, and thank you to everybody who's logged into this webinar today. Hey, how cool is it, to be exhibiting at a show like DDW that cares enough about us as exhibitors to invest time and financial resources in putting this program together. I don't know about all of you listening today, but I've been involved in the purchase of over 200 exhibit spaces in my career, and the only time I felt I ever heard from the show organizer was when they wanted a check and when they wanted to send me that service kit telling me all that stuff I had to do but didn't want to do, right? So it's really refreshing, really awesome to be working with a great team like DDW that really cares about exhibitors. So big part of the commitment is the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. This is your 24/7, 365 online exhibitor knowledge portal. It's got this webinar will be up there. There's some FAQs with specific content on how to deal with some of the things that you struggle with. It's got Ask the Trade Show Experts email where you can send a question anytime about exhibiting. And not only myself, but I've got a team of trade show experts who will review and respond to the questions. There's a toolkit, a marketing toolkit you can download, and there's a timeline and a template. And my suggestion is that you bookmark it, share this link with everybody on your team, and most importantly, visit it frequently because we'll be continually adding new content. So make sure you use it. It's free. It's part of your package, right? Okay, so I think we're all here today, and I think we're exhibiting in DDW because we want to grow our businesses, right? We're trying to grow. We're not standing still. And so this raises a great question. When you think about business growth, what really drives business growth? Well, Peter Drucker is one of the America's foremost and most famous business gurus, if you will. And Mr. Drucker really nailed it when he said there's only two things that drive revenue to help grow a business. Number one is marketing. And number two is innovation. So we're talking today about marketing. We're talking about building your brand. We're talking about driving traffic to your booth and pre-marketing your exhibit and innovation. And if you bring some innovation, not just to your products or your services, but some innovation to your marketing, okay, you're going to be way ahead of the pack. And Mr. Drucker also said that everything else in business is an expense. Okay, so we've got to really tackle this marketing tiger and get it by the tails and make sure we're doing everything we can do. Now, what really makes marketing work? It's one thing to say, hey, quality, price, service since 1922. Those are platitudes, right? Quality, price, service. Everybody says that. It's a rite of passage. You have to have that to get into business and stay in business. Jim Rohn, another one of my favorite business philosophers, I thought really nailed the keys to marketing success. He said, number one, have something good to say. So we got to think very specifically about who our target visitor within the DDW world is, right? And what are we going to say to them through our marketing that's going to make them notice it and engage with it? And then we got to say it well. Right? And, no matter if we're using print or web or mobile app or mail or digital or whatever, but we got to say it well. We got to articulate it in a way that will cause them to process it and respond to it. We got to say it often. Once is never enough. A lot of exhibitors, will go in a show, and if they do pre-marketing, they'll send out 1 or 2 emails. It's not enough. You got to say it often, okay? And, with typically with 3 months before showtime, you want to start landing multiple touches each month leading up to the show. And I'm going to add one to Jim's statement here, is multiple media. Say it through multiple channels, multiple media. And so that's what we're going to talk about here today, is really how to think about and how to put together a integrated pre- and at-show marketing campaign that makes you stand out from the crowd, builds your brand, and gets enough people to your booth. So when you think about media options, there's an image up on the screen right now. What I'd like you to do in your workbooks is I'd like you to put a check mark by how many marketing media do you typically use right now to market your exhibit. So go ahead, take a moment and check all the media that you typically use now to market your exhibit. And I'll give you a moment to do that, and I'm going to launch a quick poll here. Okay, here we go. The poll's live now. 0, 1, maybe 2 media, 3 to 4 media, 5 plus. Fastest fingers, press the radio dial button that applies to the number of media you use to promote your exhibit. Nice work. You guys are fast. We've already got 80%. So for the sake of time, I'm going to share the results. Okay, and I am excited to see that nobody on here said they don't do any marketing. Tells me I'm talking to a pretty sharp group of exhibitors here today. We got 52% of you that are in that 1 to 2 range. 29% are in 3 to 4, 19% are in 5 plus. So the question that often arises is, how many media should I use? My thought is as many as your budget and your time availability and your knowledge or skill set will allow you to deploy. The more, the better. You want to be, here's a great phrase, omnipresent. You're everywhere. You want to be like the internet, everywhere and nowhere at once, right? So the more the merrier. So there's no magic number on how many to use, but the idea is use as many as you can manage. Okay, so let's keep on rocking here. Just did our poll. All right, let's talk about exhibiting and success. I want to share the critical success factors. The problem is, as exhibitors, we're often caught in what I like to call the logistics trap, right? 90% of our pre-show time is spent on get the space, get the booth, products, get the staff, book the travel, ship it to the center, get it into the hall, get it set up, tear it down, send it home, do all that on time and on budget. And we call that pre-show planning. I don't really call it pre-show planning. I call it dealing with logistics. Now, you got to do that, right? If you're going to exhibit, you have to do it. But you've got to carve out time for the strategic side of the game, the critical factors that make the difference between showing up, flying the corporate brand flag, and getting results. Okay, they're two different experiences. So here are the 4 things that every exhibitor who really wants to make their exhibit program deliver maximum value must address. Number 1, outcomes. There's only 2 ways to exhibit. You either exhibit by objectives or you exhibit by hope. And outcomes is the process of setting goals that clearly support sales, marketing, and customer relationship goals and take advantage of the many opportunities that DDW presents. Here's the major question every single exhibitor should ask and answer before they ever arrive at DDW. Write it down. When the doors close on DDW, 90, 180 days after DDW, how will we know we succeeded? How will we know we succeeded? Okay? The major question. Then we create outcomes and we create action plans. Now, on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, there's a downloadable article on there that goes deeper in this topic. I strongly suggest that you download it and look at it. Selective attraction. Not everybody that attends the show is your ideal visitor. Who is? How much is enough? What are you going to do between now and when you arrive? So you're in their mind and on their agenda. That's what we're going to really deal with here today. Next, managing the visitor experience. Think about your exhibit and think about your product or service demonstration or presentation and think about your staff. And what you got to do here is bring all 3 of those together to create a quality visitor experience that gets that visitor to commit to some next action. Number 4, follow through and measurement. For the average exhibitor, when the show closes, when the doors close, the show's over. For the highly successful exhibitor, the real work begins. So I'd like to ask you on these 4 factors right now, these critical success factors, on a 1 to 5 scale. A 5, you've absolutely got this mastered. A 1, you're just not really addressing it at all. How well do you feel your company is managing these 4 critical success factors? In your workbook, jot down a 1 to 5 next to each one of these factors. And I'll tell you this, any factor that you score less than a 5 on, you should be doing continual research and learning how to improve that. Because here's the thing, if you do these 4 things well, you succeed at any show you do. Here's the bad news. If you neglect any one or combination of these 4, you're going to struggle. Picture your exhibit like a table with 4 legs. If I were to break one of those legs off, the stability of the table is compromised. That's what we're talking about here, okay? Critical success factors. All right, so question number 1 as we dive into building brand awareness and driving traffic with a big handle on driving traffic is, who do you really want and need to see at your booth? Okay? Notice the cartoon here. You know, the guy walks up the booth, the trick-or-treater, opens his bag, throw it in and go. You see, I realize that a lot of you today in healthcare, specifically in pharma and device, the pharma code and AdvaMed, you can't even really give away stuff. So this doesn't apply. Okay? But you don't want just anybody showing up at your booth. And you definitely don't want them showing up at your booth just because they want to get something free, right? So the question is, who do you want to see at your booth? The principle of selective attraction. This is a really cool way to think about exhibit and think about your program. Okay, look on the screen here. So the top of the funnel is gross attendance. It's everybody who attends the show, right? And DDW has got over 20,000 gross attendees. That's exhibitors, that's everybody. When you back out that the net attendance over on the right is there's 15,000, medical healthcare professionals. Half of those are international, right? And then the number you really care about as you go down is the green in the middle, the profile matches, right? The people that match the profile of who we're going to define as your ideal visitor. And then you look at your exhibit interaction capacity. The average exhibitor focuses on the top 1 or 2 levels. Highly successful exhibitors focus on the bottom of the funnel, the profile matches and the exhibit interaction capacity. So think about this as you figure out how are we going to market, who are we going to market to, how much is enough, and I'll walk you through all of that. So this is a really powerful way to look at exhibiting. Okay? So one of the big reasons why pre-marketing your exhibit today is a must. It's not a, oh, I'd like to if I could find time or money. Boy, I wish we could pre-market. No, if you're going to succeed at exhibiting, it's a must-do. And I say that for many reasons. And one of them is the attendees' behaviors have changed. They're registering closer to the show. They're spending fewer number of total days at expos, conferences, meetings. Okay, fewer number. Now, it doesn't mean they don't value going to the medical conference expos. They do. But like you, me, everybody else, they don't have as much time to be away from the clinic or the practice. Okay, they're looking for content. They're looking for useful takeaway information that they can bring back to the practice. And they're looking to you to deliver that information as the exhibitor. They're pre-planning their visit. 3 out of 4 are arriving with an agenda. They know what educational sessions are going to go to. They know what social events they're attending. They know where their blocks of time in the exhibit hall are. The average attendee will stop across the carpet line 26 to 31 exhibits on average. Let that one sink in for a moment. Half of those stops are pre-planned. I want you to think about the attendee behavioral changes. And I'm going to show you a stat here that's going to rock your world because it always boggles my mind. Less than 20% of exhibitors execute well-designed pre-show marketing campaigns. 8 out of 10 do what we call exhibit by hope. They rent space, they show up, and they hope. Okay? One of my mentors early on said, hey, Jefferson, if you want to succeed, I got some advice for you. Find out what the average or the unsuccessful is doing, and don't do that, right? That's good advice. So you're here today. So you're pulling yourself into the top 20% if you're not there already. All right, let's keep on rocking. So I want to ask another poll here. You know, there's a lot of factors that can play into what drives traffic to a booth at a trade show. What I want to ask you is, which factor do you feel is most important in driving traffic to your booth at a trade show? Click the radio dial button that applies. And I'll give you just a moment. Is it your physical location on the show floor? Is it how big and how pretty your booth is? Is it what you do to market it? Is it how great your product services are? Is it the reputation of your company? I don't know. What is it for you? What do you think most drives traffic to your booth at a show? I'll give you just a moment here. We are close to 80%. You, ladies and gentlemen, are really fast. I appreciate it. We're at 86. Let me share it. Okay. I'm going to speak to just a few of these points. Number one, 28% of you believe that your booth location is the single most important factor. I've got some news for you. There's an organization called Exhibit Surveys that since 1963 has been doing quantitative, qualitative research on trade shows. And through their research on the impact of booth location, they can make no correlation between the physical spot on the floor and the ultimate results and return on investment the exhibit delivers. They can find exhibitors front and center that make expensive appearances. They can find exhibitors over in the left-hand corner behind 2 columns near the bathroom that have tremendously successful exhibits. So here's the thing on location. I don't think it should ever be the reason you succeed. I also don't think it should ever be the reason you struggle or fail. Because the 32% of you who agreed with me that it's what you do before and at the show to get in their mind. Hey, you can pull them anywhere on the floor. These other things, having a nice booth, important, right? Having a good quality product service, that's a rite of passage. If you don't have that, you're not going to succeed anywhere. A good company reputation, that's important, but it's not going to be the most important factor, right? Not the most important. Okay, so let's keep moving on. There's a process that you use, okay, and I'm going to walk you through in the rest of our time together. It's an 8-step selective attraction planning model. We're going to go through these step by step, but I want to say this. There is a really nice marketing plan template prepared by the DDW team that is in your handouts tab. So if you haven't downloaded that yet, I would suggest you download and print a copy of that out. Also save it to your DDW folder. It shows you exactly putting it together. Okay, so here we go. Let's jump into my 8 steps here. Number 1, hey, just get clear about why you're exhibiting. What I want you to do right now is I want you to pick your top 3 reasons. Top 3 reasons in terms of why you're exhibiting. Take a moment in your workbook. Hey, if we could only do one thing at this show, what would it be? If we could do a second, what would it be? If we could do a third, what would it be? Put them in order of priority. Never go into a show with without at least 3 clear. You can have more than 3, but have at least 3 in order of priority. You see, different marketing media will support different objectives. So as you think about how you're going to build your brand and drive traffic, you're also going to look at your goals to figure out what media best support the goals that you have. Okay? So step number 1, get your goals. Step number 2, your ideal visitor profile. Okay? So profiling is creating this broad brush stroke of who we want to see at the show and at our booth. So if you look at DDW's infographics, you realize that practice setting, professional activities and interest, and geography, these are things that you can break it down by, okay? DDW has 7,066, right, attendees, okay? So you start looking down the percentage, what their professional interests are, okay? If you're looking for somebody in GI oncology, that looks to be about 26% of the audience has an interest in that. So what I want you to do is define who your ideal visitor is in writing. And you'll see where we're going with this as to why we're having you do that. Because we're answering a question here, who are the right people? In a moment, we're going to answer how much is enough. Okay. Now, there's another thing I want you to do, okay, is I talk to your sales, dealers, distributors, however you go to market, however you sell your product services. And I want you to have them build what we call the CPS Triangle. Have them put together a list of existing customers. Have them set a specific goal for interacting with that customer. 1. Second, have them put together a list of prospects who are in the sales funnel, the pipeline, and get them to the show and move them 1 step closer. Now, your suspects on this model are your profile matches, the previous slide. Okay, so you think about it, never go into a key show like DDW without reaching out and inviting your customers who are likely to be around or at that event. Why? If you don't, your competition will. Okay, and get your salespeople to take advantage of the energy and, you know, your exhibit and your technical experts and the demos to get those prospects there and move them to the next step in the sales cycle. In fact, the exact plan that you want to be running is get your sales management and business development teams on board about 8 weeks before showtime. Have them sit down and build a list. Have them set a specific outcome for each name on the list. Ask them to contact every name on their list 3 times before they get to the show. Try to get confirmed appointments or verbal commitments to meet. And if you really want to prime the pump and get your sales business development team on board with this, put a contest in place. The person that gets the highest percentage of their CPS list to the show and to our booth wins X. You'll have a motivated team, Actually, you'll also radically improve the motivation of your sales and booth staff to work the show. So the CPS model is a game changer. Most companies do it in a very loosely structured format. I'm providing you a very structured format that is a game changer if you do it. Okay? Now, you also have to build lists. Now, when you think about lists, internally, you already have them. Externally, somebody else has them. Best place to go, number one, top of the list, the pre-registered attendee list. They've registered. They plan on coming. Next, previous, last year's, or the post-show attendee list. Next, your company database. Remember the CPS, customer, prospect, suspect? You've exhibited it at other medical shows over the last few months. People visited you there that are likely to attend this event or are within geographical striking distance of this event. Put them on the list, right? Anybody who's inquired into your company product services who's relevant to this audience, put them on your list. You work through dealers, distributors, work tight with them, ask them. Medical journal, professional journal, trade publication readership lists. You know, go to them and say, hey, here's my profile. Can I acquire a list of readers that match this profile? Okay, and the pre-registered, the post-show, and the previous show attendee mailing lists are available from DDW. And in fact, we're going to give away one to somebody on this webinar who completes the survey. So make sure that you take a minute after the webinar to complete that survey. You may very well get a $1,000 list. Okay? All right, so build your lists. All right, here comes a very, very important exercise here. Let's talk about this. Trade shows are about face and next. Getting face-to-face with the right people and getting next steps set up. And you have a finite or limited amount of capacity to get face-to-face interaction. We call it exhibit interaction capacity. I'm going to have you calculate yours right now. Use my model, but use your numbers. So DDW has 19 and a half exhibiting hours. How many people are going to be in your booth on average for those 19 and a half hours for the purpose of talking to visitors? Write it down. I'm a small guy in a 10 by 10. I got 2. All right, so I got 39 staff hours. Next question. What is a realistic number of interactions per hour per staffer that I could expect? 3, conservative. 4, moderate. 5, maybe aggressive. Pick one of those numbers, okay? And you have got your exhibit interaction capacity. This is the most important number you will ever understand about the game of exhibiting. Trade shows are about face and next. In my example, if I'm playing this game conservatively, I have the capacity for 117 face-to-face, one-to-one interactions in my booth. If I'm playing it aggressively, 195. If I don't like the number, I don't like that 117, that 195, I change the variables. Can I change the number of hours in the show? No. Can I change the number of booth staff? Within reason, don't put too many. Can I influence the number of interactions per hour per staffer? Yes. With a good pre-marketing campaign, with a well-designed exhibit, with a great interactive, fast learning experience in the booth, and with a well-trained booth staff, I can increase the interactions per hour. Okay, that's how we change the number. So here you go. Go back a slide. You know your lists that you're going to put together? Make sure that your lists are 3 to 5 times your interaction capacity. You're not going to get 100% of your list to the show and to your booth. Okay, so this is a very important number. Hopefully you've calculated this. If any questions on this formula have come up, please type them in your queue right now while we're on this topic. All right, we're moving forward. Another quick poll. What percentage of your exhibit budget do you allocate to promoting your exhibit? Fastest fingers. What percent? We're at about 60%. If you haven't touched it yet, go ahead and do so now. It's confidential. We can't see your individual replies. We can only see the group. Okay. And I'll give you just another second here. 3, if you haven't touched, do so now. It's going to die. It's going to go offline. 2, 1, post. 20% of you said nothing. I'm going to ask you to go back and reread the slide on changing attendee behaviors. Okay? I'm going to ask you to reread that, and I'm going to have you do an exercise in a minute. 10% of you said 15% plus. Okay? So, how much should we be allocating? Well, where the dollar goes gives us an idea. The average exhibitor allocates 13% of their total show budget to promoting their exhibit, and that number is up from 7.5% just 2 years ago. Here's a rule I learned a long time ago, and I said it before. If you want to succeed, find out what the average is doing and don't do it. I'm going to suggest you start at least 15%. Okay? So here's what I want you to do on the next slide. Budget enough resources to effectively promote your exhibit. So take your total show investment, divide it by divide by a minimum of 15%, and there you go. There are times when you want to have even more money. Okay? More. It's a big show. You got a little booth. You are concerned about where you're located on the floor. The people that attend the show is a dead ringer match for your company. Allocate more. Okay? Of all the factors, you see, because here's the problem. If you don't get enough of the right people to your booth, I can make a guarantee. See all these expense areas? They'll end up as an expense. I can also make you a promise. If you do get enough of the right people to your booth, all these areas will end up as an investment versus an expense. So some of you are saying, Jefferson, I hear you. You know what? It makes sense, but my boss. Well, go show your boss this stuff that we're talking about here today, okay? Number 4. All right, number 5. It's one thing to market. It's another thing to market well. If you send out emails that says, going to DDW, stop by our booth for free popcorn. Going to, or visit Competitive Edge, booth 2484. It's not going to work, right? You haven't given them a reason. So in step 5, you got to actually come up with some messaging and some content. And that content has to snap me out of my sleepwalk and make me look, and then it's got to engage me, okay? So job number 1 in any marketing that you send out, whether it's print, email, social media, mail, whatever, it's got to interrupt. 5 strategies to interrupt. Number 1, new. At a trade show, new is your biggest drawing card, NEW. Second, learn. Primary reason medical professionals go to conferences and expos, learn. Number 3, problematic. Hey, you solve problems that they're likely to be having, dangle problems in your marketing. They notice what's familiar, and they also notice what is unusual, okay? Anything you send out has to first establish relevance and then importance. You know what? If you're relevant, I'll notice you. If you're important, I'll engage with you. So what you got to do here is ask what situations might be happening in their practice, in their clinic, in their patient care that would prompt them to think about what you do. And all you got to do is integrate or dangle these situations in your messaging and in your imagery and your graphics and your copy. And if they have these situations, they'll come running to your booth. But you don't think about the products or the services that you market or sell. Think about the problems you solve, the opportunities you create, and focus there with your messaging. 4 key words. You want to position visiting your exhibit as a place to see, do, learn, and get. Okay, see, do, learn, get. So I could do a whole webinar on this one slide alone, and we could take a deep dive on this. But I'm giving you kind of how do we create content that what are we going to say when we promote our exhibit? There's a lot on this slide right here. All right, so I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you fast. I know that. But any questions that have flashed in your mind, this would be a moment here to take just a second and type them in if they flashed in. And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to keep rolling on because we got much to cover in 15 minutes. Okay, hey, we're 6 steps into the 8-step process. This is cool. We're moving right along. Okay, so now you got all this stuff that you can do to market your exhibit. You got to figure out what to do. There are 4 C's I want you to think about. The message has to be captivating. You have to have a very consistent design theme throughout all of your content. People say, Jefferson, what is the single best media for marketing my booth? And I always give them the same answer. There is no single best. The magic is in the mix. There's 4 messages that need to get communicated. What do you do? Why should I care? Who are you? Where and how do I find you? That's it. You don't tell your whole story. What, why, who, where. And finally, creative frequency in trying to land 3 direct touches or hits leading up to showtime. And the best way to do this, okay, is to use multiple media, an integrated strategy. And when you think about this image and you think about all these things, they really fall into 5 major baskets or buckets. Print and display. Okay, that's show-specific media, that's industry-specific, and it's both pre and at show. PR, advertising you pay for, publicity you pray for, right? So you're building a media list, press releases. Electronic media, the internet and mobile apps and your website and social media and email. And then number 4 is mail. Hey, I tell you, the clutter in the mailbox has gotten really, really, really light. Smart time to be back there. Number 5, personal contact with the people on your list, whether it's your reps out in the field promoting it, whether it's making phone calls or using voice broadcasts. So here's the big idea. You should be doing something in all 5 of these buckets or areas. That is an integrated pre-show marketing campaign. Okay? So number 6, some of the other things that you should be thinking about, video links embedded in your emails, whether it's YouTube or whatever, voice messaging, personalized postcards, direct mail, hardly anybody's using it, great time to use it, using your social media and using DDW's social media, personalized URLs, a great way to increase response, and setting up event and landing pages that have needs assessment and appointment enabling tools. So I would like to bring Allison on from DDW for a moment. She's going to share with us some of the free marketing ops that are available. Allison, take it away.
Hi, everyone. So Jefferson did a great point earlier in the webinar of telling you what you need to do to make your exhibit at DDW a success. And now I'm going to explain a little bit of how you can make that happen. So by being a paid exhibitor at our meeting, we provide free exhibitor marketing resources for you to use. They include listings in several of our publications, including Exhibit Guide, Floor Plan, Digital Agenda Book on our website, etc. Company listing in DDW Daily News, which is our on-site newspaper. And we also provide an exhibitor marketing kit. So what you get in this is a pre-designed web ad, print ad, and postcard templates that you can use and add your own messaging and branding to it. They're actually dual branded, which you'll see later in the webinar in a few slides after this. And you can add your brand to it as well, so it looks like it's coming from both. We have press relations, where you can drop off press releases in our DDW newsroom. And you can also use DDW's social media. So there's a listing of all the social media sites that we're on, and our hashtag this year is DDW16, which is a great way to get your tweets in the stream that is used for the entire conference. We're finding from year to year more and more attendees are looking at that stream, so it's a great way to get your message in front of our attendees. Next.
So we also offer a lot of paid marketing opportunities. As you can see, we offer pre-show opportunities that include exclusive email blasts, which we find are super successful. We have a lot of different events you can host while on site, like a product theater, satellite symposia. We also offer different opportunities on the actual show floor, and then also throughout the convention center. and outside of the convention center. So we have different things like aisle banners within the exhibit hall, and then also the abstracts on disc that go in the conference bags, but then also the different hotel room drafts and different things like that. And if you want more information on all of that, please be sure to connect with Chris. Next.
All right. Hey, thanks for the overview there, Allison. You know, our purpose here on this webinar today is really not to sell anybody anything here, but what we do want you to understand today that pre-marketing your exhibit is critical. We want you to understand that DDW is really your marketing partner. Everybody on the team, great people, they want you to succeed. So what I want everybody on this webinar to do is just think about what your exhibiting goals are. I want you to think about who your target visitor is. I want you to think about how many you need to get at your booth to really make this work. And then I want you to, think about, whatever your budget is in that area, and pick up the phone and call Allison or Chris or Caitlin. They're great people. They're not going to bite you. They're here to help you. Just go to them and go, hey, here's my goals. Here's what I'm trying to do. How can you guys help me get in front of them and get them to my booth? And so do that. Don't be afraid to do that. View them as your marketing partners. And they can, hey, if you have an idea, something for a sponsorship or something that they haven't thought of, they're open to hearing your ideas too. So feel free to do that. All right, so let's come back in, and we're moving into the stretch run here. And we've done something really cool here. We're going to kind of, everything we've done up till now, we're going to kind of bring it together. And we're going to go, what would a campaign look like for a small exhibitor? 10 by 10 booth. You're investing about $3,000 in floor space. Your total show budget should be in the $87,000 to $14,500. We're using the floor space times 3 to 5 rule there. Your goals are visibility and awareness in the market and lead generation that you can follow up and convert to sales. So what would a campaign look like for you? Well, first you would start with that customer prospect suspect strategy, building that list and having your sales and business development teams running it. Second, I would grab the pre-registered list and I would do an oversized postcard, and I would mail it not just to my CPS list, but also to the pre-reg list, right? Because the CPS list is mine, I would also be sending emails to them with a really compelling reason about see, do, learn, get, and I'd be sure to integrate the DDW promo code into my emails. Next, I would be promoting aggressively my participation in my social media channels along with leveraging DDW's social media channels. I would grab the electronic banner that's available for free, and I would be putting it on my website. I would be putting it in our email signatures and any form of outgoing electronic correspondence you may be having. Then I would be folding in a couple of the, I'm a small exhibitor. I don't have a lot of money, right? But I would be looking at things like the mobile game, which is only $300, which is a really smart way to build some energy, excitement, and traffic around your booth. I would definitely be looking into upgrading my online exhibitor listing, my e-booth. The basic is free, but the upgrade has a lot of bells and whistles, the ability to upload PDFs, more copy, press releases, video. So I would definitely look into the online listing. The exhibit guide. Most attendees not only use the exhibit guide at the show, but it's got a 1-year shelf life, and it's often one of the first places they'll go post-show to look for products and services. I would be running a showcase ad in there. And then if I had the space left, money and budget-wise, then I'd be promoting in the industry showcase. And this is a great example of what a integrated campaign for a small exhibitor with 2 goals would look like. Next, I'm a medium or large size exhibitor. So I'm out there in a 30 by 40. My investment in floor space is going to be up there in the 12 range. So I'm going to be bringing 35 to 60,000 total investment. I'm going to pull at least 15% of that out to promote my exhibit. But I have different goals. I've got a new product I'm introducing. And I also really want to use the show for customer relationship management. I also want visibility and I want traffic and leads, but I got 4 goals here. So I'm going to do pretty much all the things the smaller exhibitor does, okay? But I'm going to make sure I get that upgrade so I get my logo, photo, and all the other good stuff on there. Because I've got a new product, I'm really going to be working the media, sending press releases, bringing press kits to the show. And if I've really got like important news, I might even consider a press conference. I am going to run a business suite on the show floor where I can have these one-to-one customer meetings. And then because I have a new product, I am going to be promoting it through multiple channels, including upgrading the online and or the printed listing, the industry showcase, and the product theater. And so that'd be a pretty good example for a medium/large exhibitor. Okay, so Allison, take us through what an integrated campaign here would look like with some of the DDW tools that are available.
Sure. So on the next few slides, what you're going to see are examples of the templates that we provide to you to use. So they are all, like I said before, duly branded. There are many attendees who recognize the DDW brand, and you can really leverage this to get in front of their eyes. On each piece where you see Visit ABC Company, that is an area where you can customize specific to you. So you can create a compelling message that's going to reach out to your audience directly. You can also add your booth. You can add your own logo. So really, we are working together, like Jefferson said, as partners, and this piece exemplifies it perfectly. This is the print advertisement. On the next slide, you're going to see the postcard template, which is another great way to get out in front of attendees. Like Jefferson said earlier, direct mail is something that's underutilized currently. And the same piece, you can customize it specifically to you, add details about why attendees should visit your booth, but it also, again, has the DDW brand on there for you as well. And on the next slide, you'll see several examples of different seals and web banners that you can use online. There are several different sizes of web ads where you can add your company name and your booth number, and you can make them click through to the registration site to make sure that they attend and come to your booth. And then you also have the official exhibitor seal. So you can request this from the DDW team, and you can include it in your email signatures on your website, and it really pops because when someone looks at your website and sees this piece, they know that you will be at our meeting in 2016.
So this is the enhanced e-booth that Jefferson mentioned before, which has a lot of different features. And we found that people who do enhance their e-booths are likely to reach 3 to 6 times more attendees than the people who do not have the enhanced e-booths. So this is definitely an easy option to look into. Next.
All right. Thanks for the overview. That was a lot of good stuff, and I agree with you. DDW has such a strong brand in the marketplace that when you're using co-branded marketing materials, because of the familiarity and the credibility of it, it's helping increase the number of people that notice and process. And I really liked, Allison, on the flyers and the postcards, the way you built space in there for the exhibitor to drop in. So they'll be able to basically put the DDW brand halo around their company and products. That's awesome. Okay, so here we are. We're, you know what, step 8. Think about what we've done so far. Step 1, we've set goals. Step 2, we've identified who our ideal visitor is, and we've built lists both internally and externally. In step 3, we calculated our exhibit interaction capacity, how much is enough. And then in step 4, we started moving into content. How are we going to, what are we going to say, right, that's going to be relevant and important? And then in step 5, we started looking at putting together the campaign by using multiple media. And then in step 6 and 7, we were executing the campaign, right? We're getting it moving, getting it out there. Now we come to step 8, okay? We do all this not just to say we did it. We do all this because we want to build our brand awareness, because we want to drive qualified booth traffic, and we want to build a replicable pre-show marketing system. So we don't have to recreate the wheel for every show. Once we go through this, we now have a structured planning model that we can take it out after the show, dust it off, tweak the name, tweak the dates, and run plus or minus the same type of campaign. So to make this, bring it all together, you got to measure. Okay, you've got to measure exactly. So you want to track what exact media did we use? How many media did we use? What? And when was each of those media deployed relative to the show time? And then, if we're mailing or emailing or whatever, we're tracking all of that. The number of emails, the number of social media posts, the number of likes or retweets, whatever we're looking for there. If we're in print, we're looking at the number of pieces that were distributed. So we're trying to get how many, Then we're looking at the cost, and we're going to take each of our media and we're going to go, what was the cost for that? And we're going to look at not just the cost per impression or piece sent, but also the response rate. So we're looking for response rate. What was the number of impressions, traceable responses? By the way, train your booth staff to ask every single visitor that walks into your booth, how did you hear about our exhibit? This is another way you can keep track of what marketing media are working for you. So then after the show, we're going to put all this together and we're going to look at this plan, stand off and go, hey, what worked here? Which of the media really performed well? If we use different messaging or different hooks, what worked? Then what did we learn from this? I believe in business, there's no such thing as failure. There's only results. So we're going to get results from this, and there's going to be lessons that come from this. Then how are we going to take all of this that we did and put it into a structured model that we can use going forward for our shows? And that's what we're talking about here with this game. So we have covered a lot of ground here in a very short period. You've got an e-workbook. You've got a downloadable marketing plan template. You've got a great team over here at DDW that's standing by to help you. You've got the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. You've really got a lot of tools here. So what I'm going to do while I look into the question queue, I'm going to toss it back to the DDW team for any thoughts or closing comments or anything that you might want to share while I'm looking at the question queue. Okay, so questions. Here we go. We've got a question here on, and this one may be better served by the DDW team. So Deidre, whoever's on board with me here, here's the question. We do not have FDA approval, and we're not actively marketing our products in the U.S. Is it true that promotional gifts in the USA are forbidden?
So basically, exhibitors can fall into three categories. They can follow the PharmaMed codes or the AvaMed codes, or they could not belong to either of those because they are not pharma or medical device. Those are self-governed guidelines, and DDW does not enforce those guidelines. So your company would mandate to you what is respectable to bring or not to bring to the meeting as far as giveaways are concerned.
Okay, that's good. Nia, a lot of shows do actually take a hard line, and they kind of unilaterally make that all exhibitors. So what she's saying here is that if you do not have a medical device or a pharmaceutical, that you can use giveaways, but always be thoughtful, be professional. The follow-up question to this was, would they be allowed to give a USB stick with their information on it? Would that be okay?
Yes, that would be okay.
Yeah.
Again, the codes are self-governed, so your compliance department would have to tell you if that was okay with your company. As far as bringing it to DDW, we do not have any restrictions on USB sticks with your company information in the booth.
Okay.
And also supply a giveaway order form through our exhibitor service manual or on the Resource Center in the A to Z Exhibitor portal, where you need to submit whether you're giving something away, and then just give us the name and attach a document or a picture or send us a sample, and we can send you approval on each individual item.
Okay, thank you, Nia. Next two questions look like they're in my wheelhouse. The first question is, how far in advance of the show should we begin our marketing? Well, right now we're setting about 4 months ahead of show. You're right in the sweet spot. Obviously, if you're going to be doing print in medical journals, professional publications, then you would want to have that in play now, starting at 3 months, 2 months, and 1 month up to showtime. For your direct media, email, mail, more direct response media, you want to get that started in about the 60-day window before the show. So what I suggest everybody listening is that you take these next few weeks here and you really work through your lists and your content and what media you're going to use, and then you build a structured plan to start deploying these media in the 3 month prior to showtime. So 4 months are in a perfect spot. You got a month here to really pull all that together and then start deploying 3, 2, 1. Let me see. We've got another question here. This is one that I'll take. I think it's in my wheelhouse. You know what? We have a great follow-up plan. We see a lot of medical professionals who act like they're interested when they're in our booth, but there's no action afterwards, right? We follow up and we don't get response. I've got very direct advice on this. It's the way you close an interaction in the booth that determines whether they're going to follow up or not with you. So here's how you want to do it. You want to say, Dr. Smith, based on what you've learned about our products here today, does this sound like something that might be worth taking a closer look? And that's a yes or no question. Then when he says, well, yeah, great. What do you think our next step should be? So collaborate with the visitor on what the next step would be. And here's the problem. If you just say, well, if I can scan your badge, I'll send you some information. They didn't ask for their badge to be scanned. They didn't ask for information, but they're nice people. They'll give you the badge. So here's the big idea. Confirm that there's legitimate interest before you take the lead, and collaborate with the visitor on what the next step is. Okay? Next question, and I'm going to send it back to you, Nia. Under the Sunshine Act, will gifts to doctors have to be reported?
Well, we can take that question offline.
Okay.
For the Sunshine Act.
Okay.
And I'll follow the person.
Okay, so that'll be a look into. Okay, we're out of time, and I do not see any other questions. Again, I want to thank everybody for investing an hour of your time with me and Nia, Deidre, Allison, Chris, and the DDW team. Use what you learned here today, and you will be in the top 20% of exhibitors at DDW. With that, Nia, any closing comments from DDW?
No, we're just thankful that you guys showed up and participated because we know that this information is going to help you become more successful at DDW, and that's what our biggest hope and goal for you is to have much success at our show. We, again, say that our door is open, our phones are open, our emails are open, so please contact us if you have any questions or concerns or comments or suggestions.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, everybody. Have a great show, and we will see you in San Diego here sooner rather than later. Thanks for logging in.